issues bordering on our marriages, bordering on parenting, and everything that will either make or mar a family. And there's just one motive for us coming together this night, and that is that our families must become what God has ordained them to be. And for some time now, we've been discussing supernatural parenting. How do we raise our children so that they can fulfill destiny? How do we raise our children so that they can become everything that God has ordained them to be? Because after all is said and done, our children are all we have. It doesn't matter how accomplished you think you have become. If your children derail in destiny, you have lost everything. But our children are our pride, and we must get it right. We must get it right. Please make sure that you're there with your spouse. The children that God gave us are slipping through our fingers, not mine anyway, because I don't want to speak negatively, but so many things are happening, and we are watching our children go in the wrong direction. And today the man of God is going to be answering this question: why do great children that God has ordained for greatness, for great heights, to be so many big things in society, how do they derail in destiny? How do they derail in destiny? As parents, do we have any blame? As parents, is there anything we can do to remedy this has given to you? If God has given you a car, ask him for the assignment that is attached to the car.
That's right.
If God has allowed you to build a house, ask him for the favor. And if your favor is just for you to show off, that your destiny is very cheap.
You know, he actually put it this way, that favor is not for show off, or it's for an assignment.
Yes.
And when you start showing off the favor,
that your destiny is too cheap, his exact words, you know, and that there are dimensions of favor that are not about money, not about material things, but about life assignments, eternal assignments. And at that point, you know that God can trust you. When God brings you to that point of giving you a favor that has an eternal assignment, then you are sure that God is able to trust you.
It's true.
That one got me.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, woman of God.
So, back to our topic for today. How do great children destined for greatness, derail in destiny?
Okay, so in order to make our discourse very profound, so it's important to put the entire theme in a template. So, and putting in the template, the only set of children that comes to mind are the children of Eli, coming from such a pedigree of priesthood, a lineage of priesthood, and their father being a priest, so we had expected a whole lot. Or naturally, society, individuals, even their father as well, would expect a whole lot from them. So, and it's important that as we look at the life of Eli and look at the life of his children, in all the narrative about them and about their father, their children, the Bible never thought it necessary, for whatever reason, for whatever it is worth, to mention Mrs. Eli. To mention Mrs. Eli. And the question, in fact, to think that the woman who birthed Samuel, Hannah, was very central to the scripture, and also central in the life of Samuel. So it wasn't the Bible trying to play a great deal of partiality.
She was intentional.
Exactly. So, and the scriptures were written by inspiration. So, which means that whoever Mrs. Eli was, those that received the inspiration to write the scriptures were not inspired towards her character. So obviously Mrs. Eli was missing in the life of her children. And so unfortunately, this is how great children become non-entities, become either average or nobody's in destiny when a particular parent is missing. And the missing I'm talking about ranges from missing physically to missing spiritually to missing psychologically, because some parents are obviously not there. Some are physically there, but spiritually they're not there. It's like preaching yesterday at the wedding where I spoke about the husband of the virtuous woman. And the Bible will say about the husband of the virtuous woman, because all the time we read Proverbs chapter 31, all we keep talking about is the virtuous woman, the virtuous woman, the virtuous woman. But people seldom remember that her husband sits with the elders at the gate. So in other words, the husband was a gatekeeper. So more to it, we are looking for parents who are gatekeepers. How much of their children's destinies can they keep? How much of their children's destiny, which gates are they opening, which gates are they closing? And so Mrs. Eli was conspicuously missing. So many parents are not present in the lives of their children. And sadly enough, people believe that being present in the lives of my children is how much I give them, buy them all the good things of life, warn people not to cane them, don't flog them, just leave them, punish the house girl, or probably send out any house girl that tries to. That's not your being present. That is far from being present. It's not taking them to the cinema or taking them to the mall or taking them. That's not being present. How much of values have you put in their lives? What form of virtue is obtained? I mean, there are too many things. What form of direction are they receiving from you? What are the values that are not negotiable that you are handing over? What is the family culture like? What exactly your presence in their life? What does it bring? Illumination? Does it bring revelation? Does it bring direction? Does it bring encouragement? Do they understand what it means to stand for the Lord by your being in their lives? Do they know that their parents actually know their secrets because you know the Lord? So the question is, the Mrs. Eli was absent, and I'm asking a mother, I'm asking a father who is under the sound of our voice, okay, are you present physically? Okay, Pastor, but the reason of the job that I do, the question also is, are you present spiritually? What is it? The truth is that I can blind parent. Like I could be with my children and I'm there with them and I know nothing about them. And I know nothing about them. You could be with them 24/7 every day. They are with you. You could even be homeschooling them, but yet you don't know anything about them. But one person can stay for 15 minutes and come with a dossier on the children. Nothing status children like when you tell them who they are. It has a way of making them check, or maybe you say, so it has a way of making them, does my mom know about this? Are you there for them in the place of prayers? Are you there for them in the place where their destinies are in warfare? So we do not even understand that as we begin to raise teenagers and young adults, we are raising children whose emotions are combustible. So whether you want to own up to it or you don't want to own up to it, they are also going through their own process. So in going through their own process, this is where, because the same soul that the Lord is interested in, that's the same soul that houses your emotions. So whether they are whatever, God is interested in the emotions, the devil is interested in the emotions. And so these are issues, these are matters that are worth considering.
I know you have so many other things to say, but I just want us to look at this issue of the gatekeeping. Yesterday, actually, it was as if you read my mind, because as you started talking, my mind went back to your message yesterday at the wedding, and how you admonished the bride, the groom, that they must all rise to become gatekeepers in their homes. And if you consider what the typical gate man does in your house, but there's a story some time ago in this state when a governor went to one of the parastatals that was under construction, wanted to see what was going on, and then the gate man refused and said he had directives that nobody must be allowed. And the governor, in disguise, because he was not in his military regalia, was pleading, just pretending to be. And the man said, you can never enter. The man said, no, I have instructions. But you know what? In the end, he got him a promotion. That's right. Yes, because when the governor now introduced himself, he now started pleading, but that he was under instruction. And that is a gatesman, a gatekeeper. That's right. Which means as a parent, like you said yesterday, it is what you allow that should be allowed. That is allowed. But when you are complacent
That's right.
in your role as a parent,
That's right.
then all sorts of negativity can just step in.
That's
And
right.
I really wish you just underline that a little bit so that parents can rise to the role of gatekeeping. If you can spell it down, break it down, what it means to be a gatekeeper in the house.
And it's important for us to even begin the discourse by looking at the Bible times, right? Because that's where the theme gatekeeper arises from. In the Bible times, we had those who were known as gatekeepers, and they were primarily either those who took decisions at the gate or those who manned the gate from the watchtower. So those who man the gate from the watchtower are able to see invaders into the city. And like I said yesterday, when they see that there are people who are trying to invade the country or to invade the city, as it were, sometimes all gatekeepers need to do is just to close the gate. And once they close the gate, if you like, you want to shoot arrow, you want to shoot bow and all that, you'll be shooting the gates, the bow and the arrow and all that. So there are battles that they will not fight because gatekeepers and all that. And this is what I said yesterday. God raised Adam to be a gatekeeper, and that's why immediately something went wrong. Of course, God knew something had gone wrong. God did not look for Eve that made the thing happen. God called Adam, I raised you up here as a gatekeeper, because every day, women of God, whether we want to accept it or not, every day our children are under attack. For the mere fact that we are confessing Jesus, that we are loving the Lord and all of that, even if you're not loving the Lord, the devil is fighting something that belongs to you. And so imagine when the one that is supposed to be a gatekeeper is sleeping at the gate. Imagine where the one that is supposed to help wage the children. Your children are not yet praying like you. They are not yet seeing what you're seeing. They are not yet perceiving what you're perceiving and all of that. And everything you want to explain it, I don't know, all of a sudden, this child was a good child. I don't know where the child started learning waka, shege, this one, that one, and all that. You are the cause. Why? You didn't teach it, but you opened the gate. And so you opened the gate and some things began. Well, how come that the child did not learn about the Holy Spirit? How come the child did not learn about the fullness of God? How come the child did not learn about, oh mommy, today he has never told you that they taught them how not to tell lies? But every day you're seeing a multiplicity or multiplied negativity because there is no gatekeeper. And like I said yesterday, now it's not just a call for the male gender, it's a call but for both the male and the females and all that, because at some point a woman also became a gatekeeper in the scripture, and that woman was Deborah. So either you're a king, whether you're a king, whether you're a priest, whether you're a prophet, whoever you are, all just understand that gatekeeping is as a result of your assignment and not necessarily of your position. I try to say that as well. Being a gatekeeper is not necessarily because of your position, but it's because of your assignment. So if God makes me a father, he has given me an assignment over the lives of my children, and so to my children I am their gatekeeper. If God puts me in a career where I am the head of a place over a people and all of that, what it simply means, over the lives of the people, I am their gatekeeper. I am supposed to make sure I close the gate against negativity and open the gate for treasures to flow in their direction and all that. But how would I know? The typical gatekeeper, like I said in the Bible times, understand the times. They understand the times. Like they know there is warfare, you can't open this gate. The typical gatekeeper understands that, oh, it is night, close the gate. The typical gatekeeper knows that, oh, some treasures are coming in caravans, open the gate. But the million-dollar question is that we have parents who are meant to be gatekeepers, but they don't know the time. What time is it in the life of my child? What time is it in the life of my gradually morning, where it used to be bright light has become darkness for your child, but you have no idea. Now, what used to shine so brightly automatically has deviated, and the devil will never have you know, because the child is still putting up appearances for you and all that, because the child will not want to hurt you. The child will not want to hurt daddy and all of that still come, because over time our children get to know that we are church people. So it's either they align or they pretend. So it's either they are aligning to becoming church people like us, or they begin to pretend. But a gatekeeper knows when the time. A gatekeeper understands that this child is going off tangent. A gatekeeper understands that you are messing up and what you're doing is not right. You know, the truth is that we correct our children not necessarily because we want them to be useful to us, but so that they don't ruin their own destiny. Imagine you work hard and then you go to heaven after all you've done, and then you watch your children on earth messing up. And this was what the rich ruler, the rich man in hell was telling Father Abraham. He said, please, would you send Lazarus so that he can go and talk to my brethren and all that? So because wherever the rich man was, he was looking at his brethren and he was not pleased. And so let it not be said, if immortality is definitely going to look on earth and find our children, would we be pleased by what they are doing? Just because you did not arise as a gatekeeper. Remember, this platform, this discourse is coming from the fact that we are looking at the life of the husband of the virtuous woman. In Proverbs 31, the Bible says he sits with the elders at the gate, and gate is the place where decisions are made. And I said, anyone who is found around the gate area is a gatekeeper. So the man was a gatekeeper. So there is a major call for husbands, become gatekeepers, wives, become gatekeepers. You know, this is the time where we can safeguard the destinies of our children, because we're going to stop unnecessary warfare. There is a ravaging warfare of pornography that is coming against your children. There's a ravaging warfare against masturbation. There's a ravaging warfare against sexual immorality. Oh, we close the gate for them. Sometimes you say, oh, you want to do this and you're feeling bad. My child just got into pornography. My child just got in. Do you know that some of them, even as they are masturbating, they are feeling bad? Do you know some of them, as they're clicking on the pornography link, they are feeling bad? Does it not shock you that all that they are asking is that, God, would you just send me someone who can be of help to me? Happy is that home where the mother, where the father is a gatekeeper and could arise, because the Bible says, when I would have blessed Israel, the sin of Ephraim was uncovered. Is it possible that God will want to release his blessing on your child, but then again he uncovers that child has been up to something really terrible?
Wow, right now there are so many questions in my head. I don't even know which one to start with. But let me just make reference to Eli and Mrs. Eli that was missing in the Bible. And I'm just wondering, is it possible that she became that complacent because she felt her husband was a priest, and that as a priest he will effectively stand in the gap for the family?
Well, that is a costly assumption, because your husband's calling is not to your family primarily. Your husband's calling was to a nation. So assuming that, oh, because he's called to a nation and all of that, that means that. So this is the point where we get it all wrong by assuming, oh, I'm assuming my husband is going to do that, I'm assuming my husband is going to do this and all of that. You don't assume on such things, you know. And this is where I find it a little bit worrying when I find some parents actually doing assuming that the other parent is not needed by whatever reason. You know, this one is not needed. Or maybe you see some parents working really hard, you know, to make the other parent irrelevant in the lives of the children, or maybe for whatever it is worth. Like I say this all the time, if Eve was enough, or Adam was enough, God would have put the baby in Adam's womb and Adam would have urinated the babies out. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then there wouldn't have been a need for a woman and all that. But beyond intercourse, God wants the flow of spirit coming from the man, the stability coming from the man, and of course the vulnerability from the woman to make up the child. Because either you find that there are two men who are too stable that they become Rock of Gibraltar. You know, there are two people, some of our children are too stable because they have been so much raised by a man, the way a man thinks, the way a man perceives and all that. And if a man raises a girl and all of that, the girl is going to come into a man's house acting like a man, when actually what the man is looking for is a woman. So a bit of what the man can offer is needed, and a bit of what the woman can offer is also needed, and all that, for proper balance in the life of the children. But then again, sadly as it may seem, we find situations where the parents do not allow expression of the other spouse, especially in the life. It's not everything, and then you try to tell lies in order to gather the favor of the children. You try to make yourself appear like the best in order to win the favor of the children. You are ruining their lives. You are ruining their lives. So Mrs. Eli assuming that Pastor Eli being in the life of the children was just enough because he knows what to do, he knows how to instruct them, he knows what to do, and that Eli knows God's work does not mean that that Eli knows parenting.
That's true. Absolutely.
Eli could be a master at the business that he does, but Eli might have zero knowledge on parenting. So let's not assume out our roles. Let us be detailed about our roles.
And you know, he was blind too.
Yes. Oh, that one is the one that is the saddest of it all. So this is where I find a lot of parents. Permit me to say 90% of the parents are here, in this table, where they are blind parents. Eli was a blind parent. So one of the things that God is saying to every parent under the sound of our voice and would-be parent is that, can you see? Can you see? I don't mean do you have glaucoma or maybe whatever, but I'm asking you, can you really see? Can you see? What do you see about your children? What is God saying to you about your children? What do you really know about your children? And when the children were given birth to, what did God say to you? You don't know. Which school should they attend? You don't know. What is going on right now in the lives of their children? You don't know. Some of them are becoming emotionally, they are becoming so tired to the wrong people and all of that. Does it not shock you, woman of God? Sometimes we have met people that say that their earliest exposure to sexual intercourse was when they were 6. Some people when they were 7. Some people when they were 8. Is it possible there is a 7-year-old child, there's a 6-year-old child that is going through an abuse, but the parents do not know?
Last week you told us the story of the 8-year-old.
Yes.
Okay, she's 13 now,
Yes,
but she became sexually active
at 8.
At 8.
So you can imagine. So right now, is there possibly an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old who an uncle is abusing? Is it possible that there is a group of children who are teaching a child somewhere the wrong stuff and all that, but then again the parents do not know? You think the day you discovered was a day. Listen, I wish your shouting alone after you discover would be enough to pursue whatever that is happening out of them. If it is an evil act, there is no evil act without the backing of an evil spirit.
That's true.
Can I say it one more time?
Yes, sir.
There is no evil act that is without the backing of an evil spirit, which automatically means if your daughter is beginning to lie, there is a possibility that the spirit of lying is hanging around her. So you're not just dealing with a character of lying, or you're dealing with the spirit of lies. So if your son or daughter is caught up in masturbation, or is, as it were, I want you to know you're dealing with a stronger, you're not just dealing with the act, but you're dealing with the spirit. Like the woman said to us, I think a woman wrote in last week and was telling us that, or was it here or at the NSPPD, but I think it's here, and the woman was saying, for some strange reasons, my child cannot get his hands off his genitals. Yes, cannot get his hands off his genitals. Every now and then the child is too, but what he has discovered is that the child likes to stroke his genital. So the $1 million question, and the $1 million question is, what is happening in this the life of this child? And the parents, can they see? I feel like every parent should. If you're a parent and you're here and you're listening to me, or you would be parent, would you lay your hands on your 2 eyes after me? Say, Father. Say it after me. Say, Father, open my eyes to see. Say, Father, open my eyes to see what I ought to see about my children. I want us to declare it again. Say, Father, open my eyes to see what I ought to see about my children. If you believe it, say loud, amen. Because I believe that God is opening your eyes right now. He's saying that child is quiet does not mean that child does not have secrets.
It's true.
That child is always quoting Bible up and down does not mean that something use your life and know. Use your friends who you went to secondary school with and know. Some of them came from very strong scripture union background and all that, but when they came up to school, they did something totally different. Like children, as it were, they have different clothes for coming to school, they have a different clothes for staying at home and all that. You don't even know what it is that your children wear. You don't even know what it is. But until the Lord opens, and even if they are adults, what are they dealing with? You are there praying and saying, oh God, settle my children, but your children are into all kinds of devilish acts. And then you begin to blame God. God, you're not answering my prayer. And God is saying to you, your children are not living right. Because if only your eyes could be open to see, you will know the right prayer to pray. So the right prayer most times is not God. Oh God, give them a big job. Most times God corrects their character so that they don't ruin the job you're bringing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can we take some of the questions that we have?
And I actually have a question based on some of the things you've said. Two major things you've talked about: how Mrs. Eli was, totally absent, and sorry, I might be taking you back a bit.
That's right.
And you talked about how that some parents are very absent physically. Some are also, in addition to being absent physically, they're also absent physically. Some are even present physically but absent spiritually. And there's something very interesting that you've said. You said Eli may have known the work, of the temple,
yes,
but that may not have necessarily made him a good parent.
Yes.
So how does an absent parent, because I want to start from an absent parent. I mean, right now, a lot of people are, back in the days, there were times when it was easy for at least some parents to be physically present.
Yes.
But the way the society has evolved and demands and all that, you find most times both parents are out there. How can parents who are compelled to be absent sometimes physically, how can they make up to be effective, whether it's physically or spiritually? How practically can they go about it?
And that is why I speak about revelational parenting. Revelational parenting. And I keep saying that it's not the number of hours that you spend with your children that matters. It's the number of revelational hours you stay with them. So sometimes revelational hours, that hits the core. You might be with your children and just and then you're not instructing them as people are eating ice cream and people are doing this. But if God opens your eyes and you're able to say, hey, within this few minutes I'm going to be with this child, let me tackle this issue. And when you say, the child will really know that you've heard from God, and you are not instructing based on, you just want to sound very verbose. The child, when you hit the child's, I'm not talking about you don't spend quality time with them. No, you can spend quality time with them, but more importantly, spend more revelational times with them. Times when God will arm you with some things. There's a way you pray for a child, the child will understand that you know what is wrong with the child. You understand what I'm saying? So because I mean a particular child, kept telling the parents, about I've got a friend who is very, very helpful to me and has been doing stuff for me and all of that. But unknown to the parent that the child was actually a G guy. Do you understand? The guy was the child was actually into internet scam. Do you understand? But the mother is so excited that my child really has destiny helpers. So when the child is like, because that's what the child tells the mom. If your son or your daughter, I'm afraid to say this, no matter how anointed you are, if your son or daughter's heart is not regenerated, they will lie to you. If they don't have a personal relationship with the Holy Spirit, they're going to lie to you.
And the mother has not bothered to check out the so-called destiny helper, either physically or spiritually.
Sadly as it may seem, the children can actually bring one destiny helper for you. Because if someone has matured in internet scam big enough for you to now tell yourself, tell your mom, do you understand what I'm saying, lies and all of that, so it means yes, you can get anywhere, you can pay anybody anything and they'll come to your house and say that they are the ones that have been trying to help you out. That's right.
Wow. Very deep insight, I must say.
Seriously, there was something you said today in service, and I'm just trying to relate it to the discourse, and that is that the devil himself is a good watcher of time.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's frightening to know that what you're not doing, the devil is doing it very well.
Fantastic.
And you said the devil may not be absolutely correct.
Yes.
But a lot of time, because we create the kind of atmosphere, yes, they now know they just leverage on the atmosphere we have created to cause havoc. And that's why we have necromancers, we have stargazers, and all of that, telling people. So it makes it an emergency.
That's right. That's right.
Because it means we can't keep up. If the devil is beating us to the game, then we are really in trouble.
the major reason why we're saying parents who are under the sound of our voice, this is the time to know the time in the life of your child. I'm not saying is it 7 o'clock, is it 9 p.m., is it you need to know the time. Where is this child right now? Mentally, where is this child right now? Psychologically, where is this child right now? There are children who at the moment who are still smiling at their parents and this and all that, but they are feeling a strong disconnect with their parents. If a parent knows the time, is the time to call the child, because what you're going to find out is that, you know, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years down the line, they'll tell you, I don't love my mother, I don't love my father, and all that. And you're wondering, what did I do? When did it go wrong? The seed was sown where you could have handled it, if only you could see.
Oh my God. God should really open our eyes. We'll pray that prayer again.
That's right. That's right.
And we have quite a number of questions. Pastor Jerry, I'm in pain. I just got married after I divorced my ex. My husband molested my daughter. Now he was asked to leave the house until he admits to it. My daughter has thought of suicide, depression, PTSD. Please, I need help.
So the question is, what exactly?
I guess she wants to know how she should deal with a situation like this. Her husband molested the daughter, and of course is having negative psychological impressions on the child, and the daughter from time to time is attempting, maybe moves from depression to attempting suicide and such things. So she wants to know perhaps how to help this child.
Well, the truth of the matter is that, like I always try to avoid being prescriptive on this program, let me not assume that I know what you mean by my husband molested your child, because 1,001 things are going through my mind. But as a trained counselor, I'm not going to sit down here and assume that I know what being molested means. I also would want to ask you some questions as what led to what. And why people are where you are. So I'm not going to sound prescriptive. Would you do us a mail right after now? Do us a mail right after now, and we'll be able to answer you this question very profoundly.
Okay. This one says, good evening, Pastor. God bless you all. I am married with 2 kids. My husband lives abroad. I'm here with my kids for almost 2 years now. We have not seen him. All he says is, I don't have money to come. I really feel like telling him to go his way because my wish has always been for me and my husband to bring up our kids together. Sir, what do I do? I'm playing the role of mother and father.
Unfortunately, that's going to be for a while. Playing the role of a mother and father. You're going to have to play that role for just a little bit, a little while, because I am not going to ask you to. It's already bad enough that he's not around. It will be worse when the children understand that you are totally disconnected from their father and all that. For the sake of your children, I know it's hard. Someone had actually, come to my inbox to tell me, and he said, oh, Pastor Jerry, where all the time you just keep saying, oh, your marriage, you have to fight for it. You have to do this thing, you have to do this. I say, Pastor, I'm tired of fighting for it.
Wow.
So, but then again, I want you to understand that there's a reason behind trying to ask you to stay on, and the idea behind it is because of the lives of your children.
Good evening, Pastor Jerry. I have known my husband for over 15 years now. We have been married for 9 years. My husband is the type that does not always smile. You don't know when he's angry or happy. Any little thing can make him yell at me and my kids. And the same attitude he has towards the kids. I don't know how to deal with it. So, Pastor, can you throw some light, please? Please, sir. And I want to use the same opportunity to ask for prayers for my 8-year-old son who has been in the hospital since August 18 with broken femur. And the doctors have even cut some parts of the bone. I believe in miracles. I have been following the nsppd prayers since late August.
So her question is what now?
She wants to know how she can deal with her husband who easily irritable, he easily gets angry and yells at them for very little thing. No, just he's a short fuse.
Well, the truth of the matter is that if the case of the child is actually a case where the child is going through the children, the man rather, if the case of the man is a case where he just gets angry for no reason, then what we're dealing with here might just be a demonic spirit. But if it is a case of both habit, either nurture or environment coupled with the evil spirit, I just want to say that we must become introspective first of all by our asking ourselves one major question: are we by chance his triggers? Are we by chance his triggers? That's where we get, because it's easier to say, oh, my husband is always angry for no reason and all of that, but the $1 million question is that, am I his trigger? So it's easier to say he just has a way of trying to get angry for no reason, but it is better for you to answer the deeper question whether in some way you are triggering anything in the life of your husband.
Okay, this one says, good evening, Pastor Jerry. Please, a depressed woman, married for 5 years. It was blissful in the first year till my husband got transferred. Things changed. He no longer communicates well, too angry every time, and threatens to always move out of our home. He's been unfaithful severally, and I forgive him. Pastor, I can't boast of 10 sexual activities between us since this year, 2020. I love and pray for him, but I think I'm breaking down. Help me.
So the question is what?
She's saying married for 5 years, initially started well, but things have changed. The husband is unfaithful, and they hardly have sexual relations from what she's saying. 10, not up to 10 in the whole year of 2020, and she's saying she's breaking down right now. So, and she needs help. How should she proceed from here?
I do understand the challenge that comes with your, being with your husband, and then you are in that place where you are trying to find out, what did I do wrong, what is it, and all of that. But first of all, I want you to know that your husband in himself knows that he's doing the wrong thing. But have you exhausted your options as a person in asking yourself, what can I do differently as it relates to this matter? What can I do differently as it relates to this matter? Now, again, tied to the first person's question, like I said, is there a possibility that you have considered the spiritual side of this thing? I think that most times, except the man is under a demonic manipulation, which I'm not excusing, love has a way of melting everybody. Love has a way of melting everybody. But unfortunately, we have been taught to make sure that love is about your receiving, not your giving it. So when you say, you don't show me love, you don't show me love, there's no loving. If you notice, now I'm going to say this, I know it's going to sound controversial to people. If you notice, right, that someone is not showing you love, there is a tendency that you are there seeking for love. Because if I'm consumed with giving love, I will seldom remember that someone is not giving me love, because my show of love to this person is an assignment. It is not a transaction. Love is not transactional. Love is the fullness of what I feel in the inside being expressed, but that's not the way the world understands it. So, but then again, I am not in any way validating anything called sexual. Please pray about it. Please talk to God about it. Please show more love. This is where we don't, because we just feel, you just want to come across as, oh, I've been cheated, or the wrong stuff is being done to me and all that. But even when you realize that the devil doesn't want you to stay married, the devil wants to give your children a dysfunctional life by the reason of a marriage that is not working, I know that you would be tempted to do the right stuff.
I'm sure somebody out there is just wondering how I can pour love, and then never expect anything in return.
I am not saying it's an ideal place to be in, But when we look at the scriptures, and I mean, the Bible says that we must love our wives as Christ loved the church, you know, and the love of God concerning the church is while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. So there's nobody who doesn't want love to be reciprocated where you are. But I'm just saying the idea, Christ kind of love is the kind of love that when you are doing me bad, I'm still loving you. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you're doing me bad, I'm still loving you. But it's okay if people just say to me, oh no, Pastor, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that. I mean, that is it. But I'm just trying to talk about conquering with love.
Good evening, Pastor. This question is from the US. My son's teacher teaches them that men can marry men and that there is no God. And she says this country is terrible. How do I treat something like this?
Your son's teacher teaches your son's teacher teaches would you
them.
repeat the question again?
She said that her son's teacher teaches them that men can marry men.
Okay.
And that there is no God.
Your son's teacher teaches them that men can marry men and there is no God. I think it is a very pitiable place to be in. And
okay, so she is saying, you know, in the US, quite a number of people try to do these things. In some cities, it's been legalized. And so this teacher happens to be in that group of people that believe that this is a natural thing. You know, some men are born like that and men can marry men. So she's worried because...
My question really is, must your child be in that school? I don't know whether that is it free education? Is it a scholarship or something? I don't get why he has to be. They are damaging the psyche of the child. They are damaging the psyche of the child. You're dealing with a lot already. Not to think of when somebody is now saying, my child is there. No. You're not doing yourself a favor. And this is enough to pull that child out of that school. If that child hears it 10 more times, you will be having a stranger in the house. Yes.
I think you're right, but I also think I understand a little bit of her dilemma. Because in the US, most states, at that level, education is free.
Yes.
And the children are expected to go to school around their area.
I totally agree, woman of God. I totally agree that you need to go to school. But there are also schools who we don't have teachers that are carrying this campaign on their head. So even if you have to go to school around that area, it's already a major threat. Please, that child should go find another
I think
school.
she can also ask for a change of class.
Such things are very
Change
obtainable.
of teacher, yes.
Change of teacher.
I don't want him to be in class A.
In fact, there's even no need to change the teacher and change the class. Change the school. Change the school, because if that teacher was sent to your child, when they finish with his own class, he can come in and say, hey, Ronald, where are you? Let me comment here or something. And all that. The information will still get to him. That's right.
Even from his former classmates.
Exactly.
Okay, so this one says, good evening, Pastor Jerry. I was out of my marriage for 8 years, living my life as a single. I meet men, but I'm so scared of marriage because of my past experience. But not quite long, I fell in love, but now my ex-husband is calling back, telling me he loves me. I have 2 kids, but I don't have feelings for him, and I'm scared of marrying someone, and at the same time, I'm in love with another person. I'm so confused and I don't know what to do. On Friday, you said in morning prayers, you talk about celebrated marriage. I'm totally confused. It's like the world is coming to an end for me. I'm scared of going back with him because of my experience, and I need prayers.
Was there a divorce?
Well, that is not mentioned actually.
Okay, so we need more clarity on this question so that we can know what to answer, so that we don't sound very prescriptive. So we just want to find out, did the marriage end in a divorce. If it ended in a divorce, then we can take it off from there.
Okay.
Man of God, I just opened my Facebook and saw this meeting going on. I married my husband 26 years ago. I loved him even before we talked about marriage. I was thinking it was because he was an only child, but boom, we started talking about marriage. In spite of all oppositions from his friends and maternal relatives, we still got married. But my joy is that my parents and his did not object. Since then, man of God, I really cannot remember any very happy moments. Immediately after marriage, I prayed that God will use me to change his family, because his father was an unbeliever, married more than one wife, and had him as his only child. So my prayer was actually that God will break the yoke of childlessness of this family through me. Little did I know that Satan started a war right from that moment. I waited for 7 years before I was able to have my first child, and he's the only one I have. And